Procrastination, boys. It's pretty much one of those issues that affects everyone, particularly us boys with ADHD, eh? And I feel like it's one of those topics that gets talked about a lot and everyone still seems to struggle with. And it's definitely something at the moment in my life which is really having a big impact, and it's kind of like I'm getting too comfortable. And I think I've lost a bit of like ambition and you know, somewhat delusional hope for the big things that I'm working for and I'm kind of dreaming about in my future, right? By the way, I'm just here fishing with the boys, so the boys are just in the background, eh? We're on a trip right now. I feel like my biggest strength for like a couple years there, you know, let's say between like 13 and 15 years old, was being delusionally ambitious and really willing to put in all the actions and all the effort and all the work into something that I had no way of knowing whether it was like even like possible. Like when I was 13, I thought I was going to be a millionaire by 16, and I genuinely believed it. And obviously that didn't happen, and honestly it's not even my goal anymore. I don't care about the stuff I cared about then. My head and my soul is in a very different place. We can talk all day about how that was like misguided or whatever, but the point is I feel like I've lost a bit of that. And the other big problem that's then come in has sort of been procrastination. I feel like people always talk about procrastination in terms of like work and like productivity and shit, and like, oh, not doing the work on, say, like a business you're trying to start, or you know, something you're trying to pursue, or like your goals or something. But honestly, I feel like it sort of spread so much further than that, like particularly into my life, around sort of standing in the way of like certain experiences or like cool shit I could do, or the more like the stuff that really makes life worth living, like been on a trip with the boys and stuff. And I have a mate, he's fishing over there right now, bro. He's like something I really respect about him. So we had a camping and fall driving trip in like the middle of the term kind of thing, and we'd planned that, and the trip happened, and literally like the day after we all got back from that trip, like it was awesome, and the day we got back, this guy sends a message to the group chat and he's like, oh boys, like I've started, like let's start planning the next one, like the next trip. And like that was so awesome to see, because you know, for me, I'm the sort of person where it's like I finish a trip and I'm like, all right, cool, let's do that again sometime. But I don't start. Bro, he like went, are you boys free these dates, like on the holidays? And because we were like midterm at that point, and he's talking about the holidays, and we're all like, yeah, we're free. So we just booked in like the dates. And then the next day we were going on a school trip or something, and we were on the bus, and he's like, oh boys, where do you reckon we should go, all that. And we literally locked in like the place we were going, the dates we were going, and roughly what the trip was going to look like and who was coming within 48 hours of getting home from the last trip we just went on. And bro, I see that in my mate, and I respect it so much, because I'm the sort of person that would overthink shit so much and like be like, oh, I don't know, like whether it's like a little bit of like anxiety or something, where I'm like not super prone to just like taking immediate action on things. But I just can't help but thinking, like, if I didn't have mates like that who are really like great about just planning things and making them happen, and it was like kind of my mindset that was taken to it of like, oh yeah, we'll just see how it is, we might not be on this trip right now because we might not have ever planned it, right? And like we've made some sick memories and done some like awesome shit on this trip that is gonna be like dad lore when we're older, and we're gonna tell those stories and look at those photos with such fun memories. But that literally might have never happened if I'd allowed, and if we'd allowed procrastination to stand in the way of that, or overthinking, or kind of like a fear of being uncomfortable, or trying something new that we didn't know like if it was gonna go well or not. So yeah, as much as it like massively is gonna impact like the amount you're willing to pursue your goals and what goals you're even willing to set. Like there's been a question I've had in my head, which I've put to a couple of mates recently, and I've talked about with like some mentors of mine, and I've been asking myself, and yeah, getting questionably far with in terms of answering it. But the question is just simply, what goals would you set if you weren't afraid to fail? And I think, bro, like I used to have those goals, and these days it's like I'm so confined to like what I can materially see like around me and that I would deem as realistic, or I just start overthinking shit. And sure, part of that's maturity and actually getting more like wisdom and awareness of like what's actually achievable, and you know what my real priorities are and what genuinely matters to me and all that, which is great. But it means I've started really procrastinating on so many things that I was so passionate about like pursuing and growing for ages. And that procrastination has really started to become like a big problem in my life. And a couple of both of my mentors have said to me, like, yo, you gotta sort that shit out. Because, like, one of them said, one of them gave me sort of like a challenge over these, like, 2 weeks of school holidays to just, like, he said he just noticed I've lost a lot of, like, direction in my life at the moment. And he just told me, over these 2 weeks, I know the community you're building, like the online community with the boys, I know that's super important to you. And the YouTube channel, I know that's super important to you. Ruthlessly dedicate yourself to that for the next 2 weeks. Like, try to make something happen. You'll see whether, because I've been like doubting some things around that and like having some sort of realizations, and you know, maybe it's all just procrastination and overthinking bullshit, right? Maybe, but I've been questioning a lot about this, not necessarily this channel, but like the role it plays in everything, and also the community, like a lot. He said, bro, like, pursue it, go all in, like, don't hold back because, you know, it might not work. He said, nah, just like send it for 2 weeks and you'll see whether God opens that door or whether it's a closed door, and God will make that clear. He said, like, you know, read your conscience, read the signs of life, and you'll see whether that's an open or a closed door. And that's the only way to get clarity, through action. I feel like that's what procrastination is. It's like, well, I don't know, so I'm just gonna wait. Or, oh shit, it all feels a bit overwhelming and a bit too much, so I'm just gonna like avoid that and push it off. And I think like the solution to that is, in 2 words, send it. So whether that's like stuff around like your goals or something you want to pursue, or you've been questioning whether it's like the right thing, or you just feel like you haven't been making progress, you've been stuck, you've lost a lot of direction in your life, and it's around that stuff. Or if it's around like, bro, getting out and doing cool shit and experiencing life and living to the fullest, or any of those other areas of life that like procrastination would affect, I think the best thing to do is just be more willing to send it and get an answer, even if you don't like the answer. Because if procrastination is simply like, oh, I don't know, and so I'm going to avoid it, turn that I don't know into a real answer that you can work with. Because if you know, obviously it gets a little complicated because you never know whether something's really a closed door, or, you know, whether that's just an obstacle that you need to push through to get to where you're supposed to go. I don't know, I'm still thinking about all that stuff. But you're never going to get anywhere by just sitting there. That applies to life, that applies to your goals. Like, you're never going to end up in any cool places with cool people if you sit in your bedroom or on your couch, and you're never going to end up with achievements and journeys and stories that you're proud of and that have led you to amazing places in your life if you don't have the balls to just pursue things. Even if you don't know, even if it's something that you've been procrastinating for so long because it's uncomfortable or harder than you thought it would be, or you lost hope, or you lost faith, or you started doubting. I don't know. So that's just a message that I wanted to leave with you today. I'm gonna go do some fishing with the boys. Hopefully we catch something. One of the bros caught something yesterday, so that was cool. But yeah, if you resonate with this, subscribe. And if you want to join a community of young men pursuing goals together, having these sort of conversations where we're talking about ideas, things that are holding us back, and just sharing wins from our lives as well. Like, I'll make a post all about this trip, some like behind the scenes stuff, like in that community, probably in the next week or so. So if you want to see any of that, that's a good reason to join. But there's some really awesome guys in there, and it's something that I'm really going to commit to building and creating and cultivating the most awesome environment and space I can. So if you want to be part of that, the link's in the description. Other than that, yeah, take care, bro. Have a good day. Go get some fish. Look at this place. Oh my god. So nice. How we going, boys?
We're gonna move.
Oh yeah?
We reckon we'll go to the other spot when you're done recording.
Yeah, I'm done, eh?